Hi, everybody. Welcome to Vegas Realty Check. I'm your host, Tiana Carroll, and my co-host, Trish Williams, is off today. But we are Vegas Realty Check. We are an insider look at Vegas real estate and what the markets are. And today's episode is going to be all about the statistics and what's happening and trending in real estate here in Las Vegas for March of 2023. And today we have a very special guest, a returning guest, in fact, Mr. Mike Kruse from Reside Realty. He's been on the show before. He's a broker, he has many years of experience, and I'm very excited to see his insight and take on what's going on in real estate market now. So glad you're here and welcome to the show, Mike.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming in again. And today we get to talk all about numbers, which I love numbers.
Right.
Right. See, you know me, so you know I'm being sarcastic. They are interesting numbers, though.
They're,
right?
Yeah.
I have to say, for people who have been buying and selling in Vegas for the past year, it's been a crazy roller coaster, maybe a year and a half. It
definitely has. As we were talking just before the show, looking back on the last year, a year ago exactly from now, the market was going nuts. You were putting in multiple offers for every single client, getting shot down at $20,000 and even $50,000 over the list price.
Right.
And then in May, that all switched.
Right. It's been a different landscape, for sure.
And we've definitely been on a roller coaster since then.
Yeah.
But we were definitely ramping back up now.
Yeah. Okay, so when we start this show, you've been here before, so you know it. If you're new here, then we always start the beginning of the show with our numbers for the past week. So we'll be looking at April 13th is the day that we're filming today. So what those numbers have been for the last week, but the rest of the episode will then be about the past month and how those numbers have transitioned. So at the for our single family residents this month, it's been trickling down. We are this morning, we were at 3,819 single family residents. Now that's excluding condos and townhomes, and it's just the Las Vegas Valley, so no Pahrump, no Boulder City, nothing like that. But those numbers, so 3,819 numbers. That's a small number.
That is a small number.
Yeah,
right.
That's less than 2 months of inventory.
Right.
And then that also has been trickling down, because if we went to the end of March or mid-March, there was like 4,000, let's see, on the 16th, there was 4,343. And then it sort of dropped, 4,139, and then 4,035. And now here we are under 4,000 mark.
And what makes this even more interesting is we're in April. We are in the height of the spring selling season.
Yes.
This is when the inventory comes on.
Right.
And we're watching it go down.
It is. It's going opposite. So that's not how it's been typically. Because if you look on graphs in 19 spring, everything goes up. 20 spring, 21, every spring, it's always going up and up and up. And now our inventory is sort of trickling down. So tell me what you think that's.
Well, and I'm just going to mention this real quick.
Okay.
There's other people out there on social media, agents, that are screaming, oh my gosh, don't buy a house right now. And this makes me cringe so bad.
Yeah.
Because they think the market's falling off. And it's so important with who you work with that they're experienced. Because us full-time agents, we're seeing the growth in the market right now.
Yeah.
Versus a lot of the part-time agents, they're not busy. And they're not seeing it, and they're saying, oh my gosh, prices are going to fall off a cliff here in the next few months. And I don't see that happening at all. If anything, I see a growth in the market as far as the prices go. And that's even considering interest rates, I'm sure, are still going to rise.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the thing, right? So I'm with you. If we had 8,000 homes on the market right now, then I'd be fearful. Okay, we're in spring, it's going to start dropping.
Right.
But consistently over the last 3 months, we've gained appreciation in our valley. So that is going to be a factor that isn't changing it. We don't have the stock. Interest rates 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, took a half a point dip, and all of a sudden it was a frenzy.
Right.
Everybody was back into the market.
Right.
So those are definite factors on that. Before we go any further into the numbers on those, let me just finish up the rest of today's numbers. So 3,819 on the market. We have 338 homes that sold in the past 7 days, and then price decreases are 137 price decreases. Now those are up just a smidge because last week they were down to 87, but all in all, let's go back to say the market report for last month at this time, a month ago, they were like 200 price reductions.
No, it's close to half.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So those prices are stabling, and we're not seeing the pitfall of price depreciation and anything that's going on there. So those are what the numbers are doing now, which today is kind of a useless day for those numbers because now we're going to talk about numbers for an entire month instead of the past week. But let's get into that. All right.
Okay.
So in our single family homes that we sold last month, and this is again condos out of the equation, we have a condo stats here for those people who are interested in those, but our single family homes that happened last month, units sold was 2,361. So tell me what you were seeing with that last month.
And the numbers show that it's down 25%, but that's year over year, not month over month.
Right.
So month over month, 2,361, you figure that's over 500 a week in sales. That's a good solid number.
And it's creeping up. Like if we go back to January, that's more than we're selling in January.
And it is showing for the month of March, there was an increase in inventory of 204.
Right.
For March, once again, in the spring selling season, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
No,
There's been times where you get 200 a day.
Right. Well, right. Exactly. And we go back to last October, November. It was increasing 200 every single day.
Right. Right.
So 200 over a month, that's not really a good number to sustain the selling period for the spring.
Right. And considering that we're selling more properties that are coming onto the market. Right. And so we're going to that supply deficit.
Exactly. And it comes down to how much inventory we have. Well, it's showing that we have 1.8 months worth of inventory. Yeah, that's double what we had exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
But that's about a third of what we had back in October, November this past year. And really, a good normal market is going to be at least 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want it to be balanced and stable. And then there was something, like you mentioned, that going back to last year, there was only 1,000. Well, look how that turned out.
Well, right.
It was a feeding frenzy.
Right.
That's when everything went bananas.
And there was nothing healthy and sustainable about that market.
There was nothing healthy and sustainable about that market except for chaos. We don't need to go
back there.
Yeah, no. But it looks like we could be heading in that direction.
It looks that way. I hope not.
Okay.
I personally think I'm actually might be an outlier here, but I'm actually happy about the interest rates going up just a little bit more because hopefully it will keep the market a little more even keel.
Yeah. And
I'll be honest, as a buyer's agent, I was out showing property this last week, showed 4 properties, 3 of them had multiple offers. 1, I had to wait in line 20 minutes to get in the front door.
Yeah.
And this was not the most exciting house in the world either.
But it's a house.
But it was a house, and it was priced right. I won't say it was cheap, but it was priced appropriately.
Right.
And I wrote an offer for my client. My client is in a situation where he needed assistance from the seller for closing costs. We wrote an overlist offer, willing to purchase as is, no repairs, and we still lost out.
Right. And so we're getting back into that competition again when it comes to things like that. And we haven't seen the waiting in line. If you listen to the show for our listeners out there, you know that we've been talking about especially in end of November, December, and beginning of January, concessions. If you are a buyer who's in need of concessions, that information that we're giving you means you're going to get your assistance right now. And
Right.
then over the past 2, maybe 3 weeks, I don't even know if it's been that long, there's less and less concessions that are being given because we are selling those properties and new things aren't coming on the market. So that competition is getting stiff. Would you agree?
It definitely is. The exception that I'm seeing is in new construction.
Okay,
They
I
are
love new
still-
construction.
They are still offering
Good
the
incentives.
good incentives.
Rate buy downs
actually-
are part of their initial offers for a few builders here in
Right,
town.
right. The home that I waited in line for, as we were waiting in line, I was pulling up some new construction that was only 1.8 miles away. And we were able, they had standing inventory of 5 homes, able to get all closing costs paid, and we're actually going to be doing a contract on the property this afternoon.
Yeah, right now is a really good time for new construction. I agree. That's been something that end of winter, beginning of spring has been something I'm utilizing as well.
Right.
Because it is a good time and builders have so much stock and they were now feeling the relief of supply chain, so they're able to
Exactly.
build, but they can't build unless, you know.
Right.
And then also, what is it, 70% of construction loans and everything happen through smaller localized banks?
Yes.
So with the whole
Right. The
bank
constraints
industry.
on that are going to be tightening up. a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. So don't wait. If you want
Yes.
new construction, now is the time, because who knows what's going to happen with the economy and the
Right.
banks and everything. So those restrictions are in fact going to be tighter. They've already affected so many things. I read an article on how the Fed's raising the interest rate has affected just car payments in general.
Yes.
Like 17% of car payments now are over $1,000 a
Yes.
month. But that is up from 2 years ago where it was, what, 6%?
It was a very low number.
Yeah, 6% of the cars were under $1,000. And all of that comes back to affordability and people's ability to pay their monthly
Right.
bills.
Bottom line, buy a house instead of a car.
Well, those are the facts. And don't buy a new
Right,
car. What a
right.
waste of appreciation that is. All right. So we talked about our 2,361 single-family units that had sold. In our condos, we have 601 condos that sold. That medium home price range is $260,000.
Yeah, and that number for the units sold, 601, total units available, 1,103, that's been pretty consistent.
Yeah,
There's
it
not
has.
been a huge change in that number. It's fluctuated 100 or so over the last few months, but it's a good, consistent number.
I have to agree with you. That has been consistent. And, you know, condos, the reason I don't put them in my weekly numbers is condos and townhomes are a different animal. Some condos you can't get financed, so it changes the landscape
Right.
for sure. So we did that. We talked about our units sold. New listings. We don't have any. If you want to sell your house,
Yes,
call me.
call
We
us.
need properties to sell. Please call me. We need that. All right. So some market trends that are happening. Oh, these are just the number of listings and the availability
Right.
that we have. And that, look at this. This numbers are so, especially when they send out these reports, they're can be manipulated, right?
Absolutely.
Because I'm looking at availability coming through the MLS on their monthly March report, and it says 4,196 units, but that's everything.
Right.
So over 1,000 of those have nothing to do with
Right, that's
single family.
manufactured homes, single-family, condos,
Right.
and townhouses, all combined. And those numbers also include Las Vegas, Boulder City, Pahrump, as well as a few other outlying areas.
Right, and so that's a deceiving number because we're less
It
than
is.
4,000 for single-family residents
Right.
here in the Valley. So let's talk about our prices for our single-family homes, because I get a lot of people, or you must get them too, people saying they're waiting for the market to crash.
Every day,
I'm
yeah.
going to buy when the market crashes.
Right, and those are the people that I really want to educate as best I can.
Good, let's do it. Here's your platform. Tell them, Mike, what you got?
The bottom line is, if prices go down, which if they do, I don't see them going down over 5%. In reality, they've dropped a total of about 10% over the last year.
Right, which was basically the appreciation for 2022.
Exactly.
Where we stopped in December of 2021 and where we started in
Right.
January of 23 is almost identical.
Right. So as far as that goes, yes, interest rates are probably going to go up a little bit, but I don't see prices coming down. So aren't you better off getting in now when you know you can lock in your price, lock in your rate, than waiting for the unknown in a few months? And if interest rates go over 7% consistently, we're going to see a little bit of a slowdown in the market. But I don't see a price drop unless they were to go over 8%.
Yeah,
Which I highly doubt.
I don't
see
know
happening.
if I agree with people saying that the market is going to crash and stuff. Because the past couple of months we've gained appreciation. Like
Right.
I said, okay, we lost 2022, but that was the Wild West. That's
Yes.
an anomaly that doesn't happen normally. And so if we're starting fresh 23, where our medium home price range is still up for the
Right.
valley, especially where we started from, like, say 2019, prior to pandemic.
Right.
There was such growth in the valley, not only because of real estate, because we had the valley itself is growing. We're almost at 3 million people. I said billion. No, we're almost
quite.
at 3 million
Please,
people.
no.
Well, we could not accommodate. The Water Authority would have to
Yeah.
come up with some good ways of conservation
Yeah.
if we had that. But we are at almost 3 million people in the valley. There's, 5,000 people a month moving into the city.
Right.
And so with our inventory going down, I agree with you, unless there's something super drastic, we get like 9-10% interest rates, then that's a different factor.
Exactly.
But the way things look now.
Right. And we are kind of an anomaly as far as that goes, especially for the West. California, Southern California specifically, their market, it's not doing quite as strong as we are here. They
Right.
are seeing a little bit of depreciation, not a ton. I know the Phoenix market has seen quite a bit of depreciation.
Right, and Austin as well.
Yes.
So all of those, out of all of the urban areas that receive that influx of, let's call it COVID money in real
Exactly.
estate, then as far as markets goes, ours seems to be the most stable and the strongest in
Right.
comparison to other cities. So I do love that.
And something that's assisting in keeping our market as
Yeah.
strong as it is. We're not seeing a decrease in investors buying.
Right.
Investors are still very bullish on our market here.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah.
still
They
a
hit me
lot
up
of
all the
cash
time.
coming in, and they're ready to buy. They're all interested in Airbnb. Yeah. That's
How
a
many
whole
phone
nother
calls-
animal.
Yeah, how many phone calls a week do you get from somebody saying, I want to buy an Airbnb? Well, that's not how it works. You
Yeah.
got to have a dedicated property.
Too many is my answer.
Too many.
If you're interested, there's great condotels here in Las Vegas that they're made for Airbnb.
They are made for
And
it.
I'd love to have that conversation with you about that. But otherwise, if you're looking for a single family home for Airbnb, I'm probably not the right agent for you.
Well, it's a difficult market, and if you don't know what we're talking about, you can go back on Vegas Realty Check and check out the Airbnb episode where we talk about the rules and regulations, and if you are serious about getting an Airbnb, what that entails. It is not like other towns, and it's because we're hospitality based,
Well,
right?
Right.
They-
It's kind of like the taxi authority with Uber and Lyft. They
Yeah.
don't make it easy.
Yeah. Same thing. Doing Airbnbs is not as simple in our valley as it is in other very touristy areas. So that's fair enough. Now we got all sidetracked with the Airbnb.
Yeah,
Go watch that
sorry.
episode and
Yeah.
come back. No, I'm just kidding. Stay here, finish this episode, and then go look at that one. All right. So before we talk about that, we were talking about these. Just how the year has changed everything, that Wild West we're taking out of the equation, and then what the trends are going on now in our market. And our trends just seem to be decrease in our inventory, prices have stabilized, and then the feeding frenzy comes out when they make any sort of adjustment in the interest rate. Wouldn't you agree?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I've been in the real estate industry a long time, and it takes me back to the very early 2000s is what this is reminiscent of.
Okay.
Where it was just a nice market, little ebbs and flows, not huge increases, no huge decreases, but just if you wanted to buy a house, you went out and bought a house. If you needed to sell, you would sell. And
Yeah.
you'd move up, upsize, downsize, whatever you needed to do, and not really think about too much. Is this the best time? Is this the worst time? and so on and so forth.
I think the news has a lot to do with that too, because they're propelling such fear. One of the
Right.
things we talked about on, I think it was last week's episode, was they were doing a report about the market crashing, but the report was all based on information from the end of December, beginning of January. That's already changed in our valley.
Yeah.
You know, our ideas of market, anybody who's on the ground right now is not saying, oh, a market's coming, don't buy, wait till later.
Well, right. And I love what we do and who we work with and our great Las Vegas realtors. However, once we get the information, once Las Vegas Realtors gets the information to the media, we're already in a different market.
Yeah.
These numbers from March,
I know.
they're not what we're seeing in the market live today.
I know, like just for an example, for those of you out there, it says that there's March's numbers say 4,196 units available, but here we are April 13th and we've got less than 4,000.
Right, the real number's in the 3,000s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, once again, who you work with matters. If you're working with a part-time agent that's looking at numbers that are a year old and they're getting their information from the media like you are,
Yeah.
their information's outdated.
Yeah, or even other podcasters. I poke around all the time on YouTube and be like, what are people saying? What's happening? And there's a few of them, especially an agent, I won't name his name, out of Austin. He is a doomsday caller. He is always like, don't buy now, market's going to crash, the market's going to crash. After a couple episodes, then I was like, oh, he's a renter. This dude isn't paying attention to what's happening in money.
There's one like that locally, and it's a good thing I actually don't remember his name at the moment.
Okay, good.
Otherwise, I might.
No, we're not calling out realtors.
No,
We're good.
but I did pull up his production. And in all of 2022, he sold 4 homes.
Oh, and that's crazy because you could sell, especially in the beginning of 22,
Right.
you could sell homes
Right.
easily. Well, not
Yeah.
easily. If you clients had cash, you could sell
it
homes
depends
easily.
if you were working as a buyer's agent or a seller's agent.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, if you were a seller's agent, forget it.
living
It
the
was
dream.
golden.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't even have to show up.
Right.
That was a good time to be a list agent.
Yes.
That is not the case right now, though. List agents, get out there, get those listings. We need them.
Absolutely.
All right, so we talked about our inventory for our condos and the medium home price range. I don't know if I said it is about $260,000 there for those.
the condos.
For those condos and townhome market trend. Our something that's actually not in the information for GLVAR, well, MLS, I
Yeah.
guess, is the owner-occupied versus vacant homes and how those are selling, and financing versus cash. So one of the things that I was looking at, and tell me if you agree with this in your business, in January, February, it was key any and easy to get into vacant homes, and those vacant homes really made up the bulk of the homes that were being sold. But now we're seeing a transition here in March and April where it's owner occupied, more setting appointments and having to.
And I think buyers in general always prefer to look at vacant homes.
Yeah.
And as the inventory's gone down, they don't have a choice now.
Right.
There was so much inventory available at the beginning of the year and the end of 2022 that you pick the 10 best homes and typically they'd be the ones that were vacant. Now that's not an option.
That is not
Inventory's
an
back down and you have to see if there's only 5 homes available, occupied or not, you got to go look at them.
Right. And then once you do go look at them, it's always weird taking buyers out to vacant homes versus owner occupied because they get so closed off. They don't want to open doors or look inside of cabinets because somebody lives there. But in reality, you need to know what that storage space is if you're going to live there. I think that people who walk through an owner occupied home and don't really sort of envision themselves living there, looking at the storage space. They just want to escape to get away from the buyer. They're doing themselves a disjustice.
Well, exactly. And this is where sellers agents need to do their job better and convey to their sellers, you need to make the home neutral, make it inviting, so that the buyers are willing to feel at home there.
Right, and be gone during a showing.
Most importantly, yes.
Most
If you're
importantly.
selling your house, do not stay home during a showing.
I know.
There is no better way to make a buyer feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're already uncomfortable with just an
Right.
agent to go ahead and sort of nose around what the space feels like.
Yes.
And when a buyer's there saying, I have the greatest walls ever, these are the best walls you'll
Right.
ever purchase, then it makes it very, very difficult. Another thing that I'm seeing is a decrease in first-time home buyers, FHA loans. Things that are closing are cash and conventional, and I'm not, typically we like to see about 40% of the
Right.
market be new home buyers, FHA loans, and right now it's sitting at just about 18%.
Right. And I think there is a little bit of hesitation with the interest rates.
Right.
And people are have a little payment shock. Let's be real.
Right.
I mean, those payments are higher. I'm on a $500,000 home. You're going to pay close to $1,000 a month more now than you would have a year ago.
Yeah.
And that's keeping the price and home the same.
Right. Yeah.
That's
no.
just the change in interest
That's
rates.
just the
So,
change in interest
yeah,
rate.
it's real.
And
And some people are getting priced out. Others are just waiting on the sidelines.
Yeah, and I think that decrease does have to come down to affordability, because a lot of times FHA buyers, not always, but typically it's about the monthly payment. Can I
Right.
make it? If you get an investor, somebody who's savvy and they know how to use like a tax credit or the appreciation of the home and justify their numbers that way, then they're less fearful of that interest rate. But that first time home buyer is like, what?
Yeah.
I could rent for that.
Right.
Especially now that they are building apartments all over the valley. Like
Everywhere.
every piece of land that they can buy a
Right.
apartment building, 3 months later and 2 months after that, it's all full.
Well, and it used to be the apartments, they were old and dingy, and some of these new apartments are very nice.
Schmancy.
Yes.
Yeah. Some of them I go in, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I could see
okay.
myself here.
I'd be like, too bad I can't buy this.
Right.
But you can't. They are apartments.
But the
Still
good
a bad
news
choice in
is-
my opinion.
The good news with the FHA, they've raised the limit. It's
They did.
just a little bit under $500,000 now, I believe.
Right.
Which for first-time home buyers, absolutely fantastic. I saw yesterday where there's one lender out there touting that they're offering 1% down for a conventional loan. I don't know exactly what the qualifications are,
Right.
but it's yet another option out there.
Yeah, and when people are really considering buying and they're trying to make things, there's things you can do when you shop your rates. Like I know in the Valley, Clark County Credit Union is notoriously good at being about a point beneath the standard bank institution
Right.
for there. So if, interest rate is an issue, you'd want to exercise your options in other places.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, look at it. Do your work as a consumer and look at all of your options, because there's a lot of different programs out there.
Yeah, and your agent has access to great lenders and to, if we're not your agent, we can be your agent.
Right.
But if you need our expertise, we're here for you. Matter of fact, if they wanted to go ahead and get a hold of you, Mike, how would they get a hold of you to have conversations?
Give me a call, send me a text, 702-286-3434.
Yep, so make sure you contact Mike if you have any questions on what's going on in the Las Vegas Valley. He's been in this market for more years than I'm sure he wants to say out loud. He's very knowledgeable and a very nice guy. I'm a fan, Mike. I'm a fan.
Thank you, Tiana.
All right. So if you are, this is the first time tuning into our podcast, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe and download that. And if you're not listening to us where you find your favorite podcast and you're watching us on YouTube, you can also hit that like, share, and subscribe button, so that way you are given all of the current information that is happening in the Las Vegas real estate market. And sometimes we talk about other things in the news, like banks crashing.
Right.
Well,
It's all related.
It's all related, right? And but as far as markets go, I'm always very confident that Vegas is such a great place. We have beautiful sunshine. We have a great tourist industry and just a really good community, I believe.
Absolutely. The people here are fantastic.
I agree.
Going to give a shout out to the Golden Knights. Go Knights, go.
Go
Going
Knights,
to
go!
the playoffs.
Yep.
So-
No, that was exciting when they
Yes.
first came in, and now to be reliving that again. Yeah. And that's another thing in our valley. The city has grown in so many ways. We've gotten sports, and now we've got the first signs of spring, which are all those orange cones out on the
Right.
highways and
state
freeways.
flower.
The state flower is the orange construction cone. All right, so now I'm just rambling. My name is Tiana, and if you'd like to have a conversation with me in regards to what's going on in the Las Vegas real estate market, you can give me a call at 702-379-9948. You can also text to that number. And my co-host Trish is gone today, but she will be back next week, and we will be talking all of the numbers and what's happening in Vegas real estate at that time. So thank you very much for joining us, guys, and until next week, have a great day. Bye.